From Vermont Public, this is The Frequency. I'm Abigail Giles. It's Tuesday, June 10th. Here are today's headlines. A budget bill is making its way through Congress that contains much of President Trump's agenda. The White House says the bill will deliver tax relief, generational welfare reform, and historic spending cuts. But Vermont Senator Peter Welch and other Democrats strongly disagree. Speaking Monday on Vermont Edition, Welch said the budget bill will increase the national debt to dangerously high levels and weaken vital programs like food stamps and Medicaid.
This legislation, the so-called Big Beautiful Bill, that is going to inflict bipartisan suffering. It doesn't matter whether you're in a red state or a blue state. You lose your health care, you lose your community hospital, you start paying higher tariffs. That's going to hurt all of us.
Welch said his goal over the next few weeks is to help convince a handful of Republicans to vote against the bill. Meanwhile, President Trump wants to see it passed by July 4th. A Vermont Afghan service organization says President Trump's travel ban is rooted in, quote, bigotry and fear-mongering. Trump's recent order bans citizens from a dozen countries, including Afghanistan, from traveling to the United States. The order says it will honor the special visas given to Afghan nationals who worked alongside the U.S. during the Afghanistan war. However, the country was still included in the ban because the Trump administration said its Taliban-controlled government can't properly vet individuals. Molly Gray, executive director of the Vermont Afghan Alliance, says this reasoning doesn't make sense.
Vetting has already happened by the United States government. And it's because of these individuals and their connection to the United States government.
Gray says the ban could prevent Afghans who do not hold special immigrant visas from reuniting with their families in Vermont. The order went into effect Monday. The auto club AAA is warning of a new scam popping up around our region. It involves receiving a text message warning about an outstanding traffic ticket, which threatens punishment such as license suspension. It includes a link for payment to cover the phony citation. AAA spokesperson Mark Shieldrop says agencies like Massachusetts Registry of Motor Vehicles or local parking authorities will not text you asking for cash. They will instead send information through the mail.
99% of the time, or almost certainly, you're not going to be notified of an unpaid violation or a toll or any issue with your license through a text message.
Shieldrop also says you should proceed with caution if you ever receive a text message asking for money. Even if it ends up being legitimate, it's worth calling the organization or visiting their website to be sure. And some road work updates, as we are now in the summer construction season. Commuters who use Route 127, also known as the Beltline, to travel between Colchester and Burlington should plan for delays. Burlington Public Works warns that paving on the Beltline started Monday and is expected to last through the week. A detour will send northbound traffic to North Ave, while southbound Beltline traffic will continue. Meanwhile, ongoing construction on Route 2 will mean the nightly closure of I-89 northbound exit 17 on and off ramps this week. The ramps will close each night at 7 p.m. and will reopen at 6 a.m., with traffic being detoured to exit 18 in Georgia. The closure is the result of bridge construction on Route 2 over the interstate. Coming up, there's growing concern over the future of Vermont farmers markets, largely because many don't own the land where they operate. That story is after this.
Thanks for listening to The Frequency, where support comes from VITA, supporting business growth and innovation in the Green Mountain State. From agriculture to manufacturing, energy to food production, find solutions that turn your business dreams into reality. Visit VEDA.org and see how VITA can help make it happen.
It's farmers market season in Vermont, and from Newport to Bennington, 58 markets are opening for business this year. But while markets receive a lot of community support, there's growing concern over their future, as most of the farmers markets in Vermont do not own the land where they operate. Vermont Public's Howard Weiss-Tisman has more.
It's a Saturday afternoon at the Brattleboro Farmers Market.
Hi. Would you like to try some cheese? Here, have some smoked. Do you like smoked?
There's cheese to try, seedlings to consider, and everything from Afghan food to fermented hot sauce for sale. If you have time, you can also get a massage or have a tarot card reading. It's a long, long way from what this place looked like back in the mid-'70s when local farmer Jay Bailey first thought about moving the market here.
Look at what there is. I mean, the vast array of food and plants and, of course, crafts and prepared food, but it's amazing.
The Brattleboro Farmers Market, which opened 50 years ago this summer, had about a dozen vendors in the early years, and it bounced around a few different sites. Bailey says he and the group of founders who first envisioned a stable, financially viable farmers market knew they needed a place they could call home.
If you don't own it, somebody can throw you off. We just figured we had to start somewhere, and we had to try.
It was a long process to purchase this shady piece of land here along the Whetstone Brook in West Brattleboro. The market and parking areas are actually made up of 5 different parcels, and it took more than 2 decades to raise money, go through the permitting, and wait for the various owners to agree to sell. With 50 years of farming experience under his belt, Bailey says he knows about risk and hard work. It's the only way, he says, to move a project forward.
Yes, we hoped that it would work out. I suppose one could call it blind faith, and to some degree, I guess farming is that way. I mean, you plant things not knowing whether it's going to get fried by frost.
Brattleboro is the only farmers market in Vermont that owns the land where it operates. And that, according to Andrew Graham, who's with the Vermont Farmers Market Association, is a problem.
Some of the major markets in Vermont that we all might think of as flagship markets have dealt with location instability in the past 5 or 10 years, and it has a huge impact on the market.
The Montpelier market has moved numerous times since it opened in 1977, and Burlington's market had a high-profile squabble with the city over its location a few years ago. While every community is proud of its market, Graham says changing land dynamics have brought new challenges. The housing crisis is putting pressure on land values, and while it might have worked 50 years ago to have a bunch of farmers set up in a parking lot, Graham says it will take more investment to ensure that farmers markets survive and thrive into the future.
I think there's a formalization coming to Vermont that hasn't existed here in the past in some areas. And people often think of markets as sort of informal institutions. And so in many ways, they have been, and they are formalizing and professionalizing, and locations are just one aspect of everything that folks running markets need to think about.
About 4 years ago, a state report on the future of agriculture recommended Vermont invest $400,000 to help markets secure more permanent locations. And while the state hasn't made that investment, some markets are beginning to think about how they can secure a site location. The Burlington Farmers Market recently started a nonprofit to raise money for buying land. And in Norwich, the market has a purchase and sale agreement on a piece of land across the street from where it's now renting space. Nika Milak-Blinn manages the Norwich Farmers Market. And she says especially in a part of Vermont where land costs are so high, it's important to make sure the market has a secure home.
It's this notion that if we aren't leasing our property and we have that forever security, we can kind of pass that forward to all of these folks, and primarily farmers, because it is a farmer's market.
Milak-Blinn says the Norwich market is going through the permitting process with the town's planning commission and trying to raise the money to finalize the deal. For Vermont Public, I'm Howard Weiss-Tisman.
Thanks for listening to The Frequency today. We had additional reporting from Michaela Lafrac, Nathaniel Wilson, Adia Ghostin, and the New England News Collaborative. Today's episode was edited by Liam Elder Connors and produced by Adia Ghostin. And our music is by Blue Dot Sessions. I'm Abigail Giles. Talk to you tomorrow.
Planet Money helps you understand the economy. We find the people at the center of the story.
Garbage in New York, that was like a controlled substance.
We show you how money influences everything.
Tell me what you like by telling me how you spend your money.
And we dig until we get answers.
I had a bad feeling you were going to bring that up.
Planet Money finds out. All you have to do is listen. The Planet Money Podcast from NPR.